And we're back. The 69th Annual International Astronautical Congress is underway, where people from all over the world have come together in Bremen, Germany, to witness the very latest in space exploration. Hello and welcome to Day 2 of IAC TV. I'm Sam Polly, bringing you all the very latest news and views from this year's World Congress. The Australian Space Agency has only been up and running since the 1st of July 2018. Let's find out how it's going and what the future holds in store. Well, joining me now is head of the very new Australian Space Agency, Megan Clark. Megan, thank you so much for joining us. This is, as I said, really new. How has it all come about?
Well, yes, we're only 12 weeks old, so I think we're the newest space agency. And Australia's had a very proud history in space. We were right there at the beginning. Of course, we were the receiving station when Armstrong walked on the moon. So this is part of our psyche, but we really haven't participated to the level we should have in the last few decades. So this is really Australia getting back into the picture, and we want to get back in a big way.
So there must be quite a few challenges ahead then.
There are challenges. We want to completely transform the Australian space industry at a time when, in fact, the space industry itself is undergoing a major transformation. So whilst we're a little late to this party, we can enter this at a time when everyone is adjusting to new space.
Well, you talk about transformation. So how has the idea of someone going into space changed?
The idea of someone going into space is changing almost by the day. So we're starting to see space tourism coming into play, where suborbital flight, even if it's just for a very short time, is coming in. And that's bringing in whole new ways of getting into space in terms of takeoff on reusable aircraft, etc. We're also looking at the supply to both the ISS as well, the lunar orbiter, and so we'll see opportunities to go to space, not just living in the station, not just doing exploration, but actually now in supply vessels. And then who's providing that is changing. So the entrance of the commercial players, working in partnership with the space agencies, but also offering commercial opportunities in their own right. So it's really broadened out.
And what special contribution do you think that Australia is placed to make?
Well, certainly we're a fantastic place to connect with space, and so we're already seeing strong interest from space tourism side of things. And of course, if you're going to pay a lot of money to go up into space, you want to look down and see something pretty spectacular. Well, there's nothing more spectacular than the Great Barrier Reef, looking at that from suborbital. So we've got some wonderful things to offer as a country for space tourism.
And as a country, how has the public then responded to the ASA?
Well, that's completely blown us away. We have 25 million people in Australia, so we're a small country. In the first 12 weeks of the agency, 20 million Australians have seen, heard or read about the agency. This is a complete record for anything the Australian government has done, and it's all positive. So that has completely blown us away. It surprised the government as well. The Australian people have space in their psyche, and they have completely welcomed across the board a new Australian Space Agency.
So very finally, what's your absolute vision, your dream for the ASA? Where would you like to see it?
We want Australians to be proud of what Australia can do in space. We're not limiting our vision at all. Whether this is interplanetary, whether this is colonisation, whether this is looking for life, we want Australians to look up and be part of that. We're too small at the moment to lead major missions, but we absolutely can work with our international partners and be part of that. We want to transform the Australian space industry. It's a $4 billion industry now. We want to add 20,000 jobs to that, very high-end jobs, and we want to see a complete transformation of Australia in this new era.
Megan Clark, many congratulations. Best of luck with it. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, we'll need a bit of luck, so thank you very much.
I'm delighted now to be joined by Bill Nye, CEO of the Planetary Society. Bill, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit what your main focus at the Planetary Society is at the moment?
Well, our mission is to empower the world's citizens to know the cosmos and our place within it. And what we like to say is we advance space science and exploration. And we do that generally in three ways. We educate people, and then we advocate. We go to especially the U.S. Congress and we do convince congressmen and senators to invest in planetary science especially. And then we build spacecraft. So our next spacecraft, our LightSail 2, is going to launch soon after November 30th as possible. But each of these activities engages people. Everybody loves space. Everybody's fascinated with space. And in the modern world, we depend on space for our weather reports, our communications, and then for people military call situational awareness. But for us, it's farther and deeper. It's the two deep questions. Where did we come from, and are we alone in the universe? I mean, these are science fiction style questions, but if you want to answer them, you have to really send spacecraft into space.
You spoke about empowering world citizens. Of course, the theme at this Congress is involving everyone. How important are those sorts of themes then to achieving those goals that you've been talking about?
Our claim is that achieving those goals does involve everyone. And the main reason, as the saying goes, what is the most important governmental position? Citizen. Citizen's the most important part of any government. And so when citizens are engaged, they pay taxes, they support it, have an interest in it. And as you know, there's the expression now, break the internet. Every time spacecraft sends back some extraordinary image from another world, everybody looks at it online because we are just deeply fascinated with it. I guess because we all want to know where we came from.
As you say, we all share that intrigue and interest and
Yes.
passion for those questions. So how important is collaboration then?
Well, so I'm of a certain age, and there was a Cold War conflict, and people walked on the moon as a means to resolve the Cold War. But now the world is so connected, and we depend so much on space, and we are not, if I could be a little bit facetious, just going to the moon. But now we want to go to farther destinations, more distant destinations, to look for signs of life. The missions are much more expensive, and the Cold War's over, and the budgets are all smaller. So by engaging all the space agencies and commercial companies involved in space around the world, the overall cost goes up, but the cost per agency, per commercial entity, per citizen goes down because you spread it out. So engaging everybody in the world is vital.
Thank you so much for joining us, Bill. Great pleasure.
Thank you, Sam.
How often do startups get the opportunity to present their company to an audience and receive feedback from a panel of world-renowned judges? Well, the brand new IAF Startup Pitch Session is just the place for that.
So now we'll pass it over to the judges for any questions.
The IAF Startup Pitch Session is an opportunity for startups to showcase what they are doing. We made a call for startups, and we had startups from all over the world applied. Then the IAF team decided on the 10 startups that will pitch, and we have an amazing group of investors that are going to be judging the startups, and there will be one startup winner.
What all startups need is exposure. And what we're offering is this opportunity to really pitch in front of a group of people who, although we're not offering money for the winner of this prize, the people behind, the judges that are going to be watching these competitions, are on top of a lot of venture capital. So exposure, opportunity, and potentially the chance to get that funding that the company needs to really excel to the next stage.
The winner of the pitch session will win a coaching session from Airbus Biz Lab, a coaching session from Boeing Horizon X, and Lockheed Martin is giving 3 passes for next year's IAC so the entrepreneurs can come back next year. But we will also have a vote from the public, and the startup that wins the public vote will win an OHB coaching session and 300 euros to be able to attend that session.
If a startup is able to meet a mentor, or if they're able to potentially get another opportunity to pitch in more detail, then I think this is going to be a complete success.
I think the participants will take away the amazing network. Just one contact can really make your startup go from one level to the other.
Today we continue with our tour of organisations around the world pushing the boundaries of space exploration. Let's take a look now at some of the incredible work that's being done.
The role of IAC is to verify cutting-edge space communication technologies, first in orbit. Our space communication laboratory is located in Tokyo, as well as Kashima Space Center. We have about 50 members in laboratory, researching from device-level development to application-level experiment. IAC researchers in the past received the radio wave from Sputnik, and also we have demonstrated world first geo-to-ground laser communication. We are researching on space communication technology to realize broadband wireless communication for all users on ground, over the ocean, in the air, as well as in space. Our laboratory would like to promote practical use of these kind of novel technologies to the society.
WIN's aim is to establish high-speed satellite communication technologies. WIN's satellite was launched on February 23, 2008 by an H2A rocket from Tanegashima Space Center of JAXA. WIN's project includes a variety of research related to mobile satellite communication, such as mobile Earth stations mounted on land, sea, and air. They are automatically detecting and tracking the WIN satellite for communication during experiment. WIN's transponder has a very wide bandwidth of 1.1 GHz. We succeeded in establishing 3.2 Gbps satellite communication. This data rate is the fastest in the world for satellite communication. WIN plays an important role in disaster countermeasures. At the time of Great East Japan earthquake of 2011, we provided communication support for the emergency fire assistance team.
We developed 5 kg class laser communication terminal on board 50 kg class microsatellites. It is called SOTA.
Small lasercom terminals will be the key to enable high-speed communication for all kinds of satellites. SOTA was the first lasercom terminal on board a microsatellite, with about 20 centimeters in its longest dimension and less than 6 kilograms of mass. That allowed to mount it on a 50 kilogram class microsatellite called Socrates. SOTA transmitted a very narrow infrared laser beam, producing a footprint as small as 100 meters on the ground from a LEO orbit. QKD is the most advanced variant of quantum communications, and it will be a key technology to guarantee unconditionally secure communications. With SOTA, we demonstrated that space QKD technology is compatible with very small satellites. We are now working in the same line as with SOTA, trying to make the lasercom terminal even smaller, to make it compatible with a CubeSat.
Engineering Test Satellite 9 is world first hybrid high-throughput satellite using optical and RF frequencies.
ETS-9 is Japan's test satellite to prove next generation satellite communications technology planned to be launched in 2021. Our role is to improve the 100 Mbps class mobile communications for Ka-band and to verify the network control technology to prove the hybrid communication system concept. We also aim to realize the 10 Gbps class optical feeder link technology.
Many airlines have started internet access service using satellite communication. As the demand increases, it is necessary to increase the speed and capacity of satellite communications. The flat K-band antenna is an active electrically scanned array antenna with a wide range of beam scanning. This antenna can change the aperture size without compromising ease of mounting to aircraft.
We are working on communication for autonomous surface vehicle. Small satellite communication antenna can be used for parallel control of multiple underwater vehicles and would allow real-time ocean resource exploration. We are developing tracking and acquisition system for stable satellite link.
With our Hikali project, we want to have optical feeder link, which will be 10 gigabit per second, mounted on ETS-9 satellite. The biggest challenge for an optical feeder link is the requirement to have real-time communication 24/7. For this purpose, we intend to use site diversity technique, so the Hikali payload will be able to switch between sites. Another big challenge is the link distance itself, more than 37,000 kilometers. For this purpose, we need to use very narrow laser beams to be sure that enough energy will reach both ends. With the success of Hikali mission, we believe we can turn a new page for space communications, where we can exchange the currently used RF feeder links with optical ones.
Our role is to verify first novel technology in space. We want to create new broadband communication services to all the users individually by using this technology. We want to have a worldwide collaboration because satellite communication is no border. Satellite cover all over the world.
Humans are meant to be a spacefaring species, and it's going to happen, but our first step out there, our first baby steps, have to be to our nearest neighbor. The moon has always been there as something that fascinated humans from the earliest days to now, and only now are we getting to the point where we have enough data and companies and private entities, governmental agencies, we have a great deal of people who are actually able to go to the moon to conduct science or business.
The lunar economy is becoming very vibrant. You have new space players coming in, bringing new innovations to the business models, to the technology, to the implementations. Simultaneously, there are lunar heritage flight companies that are also coming up with new architectures and solutions to utilize the moon in new ways. It's a really complex environment of multi-phase missions, from launching to landing to operating to returning, all going after resources on the moon and also establishing research bases and then the tourism opportunities.
Hopefully at Lunar Station, we can be the company that can start helping customers get to that moon faster.
Lunar Station Corporation is all about providing navigational services on the moon for our customers. We do this using an advanced analytics platform combined with a remote sensing platform.
We offer 3 major programs: Lunar Navigational Services, Moon Hacker, and Moon Watcher. Lunar Navigational Services encompasses all that we do for our customers. These are services we provide in design, planning, and operation phase of their lunar missions, where we advise them in order to achieve their goals in a more consistent and successful way. Moon Hacker is our analytic platform, using our own proprietary algorithms and integrating a lot of different data sets from as diverse sources as meteor impacts to surface softness to topography. we provide new emergent insights that these customers can use in the design of their missions. Moon Watcher is our proposed satellite architecture. By proposing a mission of a great deal of satellites orbiting the moon, we provide 24/7 reconnaissance and create a wealth of data that can be used back in Moon Hacker and for our general navigational services.
We're working daily with representatives that are in the launch business, in the operating business, in the lander business, in the rover business, in the return flight business. And I love seeing the lights go on when we show what we're doing.
Ultimately, what we want to hang our hat on is that we've been able to be part of a support system that allows us, people, to go to the moon and come back safely, to have a great trip, to be successful, and to be safe.
One of my responsibilities is communicating to our customers what we do. And it's a great feeling educating the world about the moon, future missions to the moon, how we're able to impact the community and advance the lunar economy.
At Lunar Station, we have such a broad set of experiences and interests through our team. And in between all of us, we share a passion and a love for the science that we're really doing.
This July will be the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 landing. I think it is fascinating how mature and developed the ecosystem has become around accessing the moon and establishing the moon as our 8th continent. And I'm really happy to be part of that. It's not like going to Disneyland, but when you like to check out the Apollo 11 landing site,
Ariane Group's Orbital Propulsion Center supplies customers worldwide with complete propulsion systems, equipment and services to place space missions in the right orbit. Our portfolio covers a wide range of technologies and solutions, including chemical propulsion, electric propulsion, working with conventional propellants and future alternative propellants. Ariane Group Orbital Propulsion delivers complete propulsion systems that are manufactured, assembled, integrated and tested by our specialists.
We are using the radio frequency ion thruster technology that uses a radio frequent magnetic field in order to ionize neutral gas and to accelerate it via grids. The most important advantages from our grid technology certainly is the higher specific impulse. Thrusters make better use of the precious and expensive propellant. Therefore, the satellites can be smaller and lighter than others. And with a dual mode operation that we're just showing, we can offer shorter transfer to the final orbit than previous thrusters. At Ariane Group, we're working on 3 major programs currently. The one is developing the RID2X system for the geostationary satellite market. The second is we're working on the electric propulsion innovations and competitiveness program from the European Union. And we're developing a plug-and-play propulsion module which serves low Earth constellation markets, satellites which are going to be produced in larger quantities. Our recent achievements were certainly the successful demonstration of our dual mode operation of our RID2X engine and the successful coupling with an adjacent power supply. And thirdly, we just recently tested a complete propulsion module, the ArcLight module, and demonstrated this plug-and-play module being operational.
Ariane Group has contributed in the past with its chemical propulsion equipment and subsystems to major ESA programs, like for example Rosetta, Solar Orbiter, ExoMars, and the Automated Transfer Vehicle ATV. Ariane Group is currently working on the chemical propulsion system for the ESA JUICE mission, which will explore the icy moons of Jupiter, and we are also about to deliver the complete propulsion subsystems to the Meteosat third generation program, which is planned to be launched 2021 onwards. For the science and exploration programs, Ariane Group delivers single components or the complete propulsion system with its main equipment, like the Apogee engine, 10 Newton thrusters for precise attitude and orbit control.
Ariane Group is working in close partnership with Airbus Defence and Space for the development, qualification, production and integration of the European service module of the Orion multipurpose crew vehicle. Ariane Group is contributing to the European service module with the delivery of key components and subsystems as the 200 Newton thruster cluster, the propellant tanks, the high pressure tanks and the pressure and control assembly. Ariane Group has played an important role in the development, production and test of the European Automated Transfer Vehicle ATV up to mission operation. Based on our technology, products and experiences for orbital systems, we are proud now to contribute to the Orion program. The Ariane Group is also progressing for the next missions, the completion of the pre-assembly activities for the ESM-2 and the final delivery of hardware for ESM-2.
The Ariane Group Tank Center here in Bremen has a quite long heritage of approximately 40 years, in which we have developed and manufactured propellant tanks, mainly for satellite applications, for platforms like Eurostar or Spacebus, but also for Globalstar constellations. We have manufactured also propellant tanks for scientific and exploration missions like Rosetta, ATV, and recently the Orion service module. The Ariane Group Tank Center is currently developing a new propellant tank for geo-satellite platform applications. For the new Vega C boom stage, we're currently developing membrane tanks which are capable with bead propellant applications with MON and MMH. For the Orion ESM European Service Module, we are currently developing and have already passed all qualification tests for the propellant tanks, which are combining on one side the challenging requirements from a human space manned mission, as well as very demanding requirements from high flow rates and various thruster applications coming from challenging GNC profiles.
Ariane Group's orbital propulsion major projects like electric propulsion for geo platforms or electric propulsion systems for small satellite constellations, or our work in chemical propulsion for major exploration programs with international partners, and also the work with new space players are shaping our new phase. Our teams are working on all these projects with high motivation to shape our future together.
Well, joining me now is Dr. Joseph Aschbacher, ESA Director of the Earth Observation Programme. Joseph, thanks for joining us. For anyone that doesn't know, perhaps you could just summarise what the programme is.
The ESA Earth Observation Programme is the Earth Observation Programme of the European Space Agency. We have three main lines. One dealing with science, so we produce science missions, we call them Earth Explorers. We develop the Copernicus missions, they are called Sentinels. And we have the third line, which is the meteorological missions, where we develop the satellites for EUMETSAT, which are geostationary and polar orbiting satellites for meteorology. So it's really science and operational missions, which are both in the same directorate, in the same house, to make sure that science really feeds into the operation and therefore provides the best information and top of technology for the various applications.
And what are the main goals that you have?
To make sure that we monitor the planet with the satellites which we have, to make sure that our politicians understand the data which we are producing, and really understand also the urgency to act, because some of these data are showing quite frightening signs of deforestation, climate change, sea level rise, and all these data come from us. But the challenge is not to produce the data, which of course is a challenge by itself, but to convince decision makers to use this data in their decision-making process.
So how do you think you're doing with that challenge of communicating the data?
I think not enough. We are failing to convert these signals, these warning signals, into clear decisions and far-reaching consequences. Talk of the Paris Agreement, everyone has witnessed how difficult it was to establish it, and then suddenly big nations are pulling out of it, and of course this is not very helpful, despite all the science and all the observations showing that the planet is at risk.
How do you think we can do that better then?
I think it is communication, interaction with politicians, awareness with the population at large, not only decision makers but really everyone, and to create a certain awareness of what the state of our, or the changes of our planet are. They are going fast, and if we are not acting fast enough, it is too late, and therefore we need to create this awareness.
What progress do you think we need to make in the next 6 months, 12 months to really start addressing the problems that we have?
The progress is, of course, to make sure that we are well aligning ourselves globally with the various space agencies, NASA, ESA, JAXA, and many others, to make sure that we have a combined observing system that does measure all the parameters that are required to monitor the change on our planet. But then, of course, we need to implement them, and one of my challenges will be to come with an attractive program and make sure that it is so attractive that our member states put money into this program, and therefore we can continue providing these satellites.
Joseph, some really important goals and challenges ahead. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Nahum, the director of the Cosmica Institute, joins me now. Nahum, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
What exactly is ITACUS?
ITACUS is a technical committee within the International Astronautical Federation that it started 10 years ago, exactly, in 2008. And the purpose of this committee is to include arts and humanities in the space conversations.
So how important is ITACUS in addressing the traditional views that space activities are really owned by space agencies, national space agencies, and the private sector?
We have this assumption that exploring space is a field of only science and technology, and also of those superpowers that can reach there, either nations or today private space companies. But we should remember that space is heavily rooted in every culture around the world. Every ancient culture had a personal relationship with space, and our understanding of what we are comes from space. So it's something that we cannot claim ownership. It's a common, it's a shared thing, and therefore everyone should participate on it.
So how are artists then challenging that? How should we be participating?
Artists can participate in so many different ways, from enhancing the poetics of discovering the place we live in, to making the difficult questions that science and technology cannot address. Questions of who owns space, who owns the moon, ownership, authorship, even exploitation, topics of who is going to space, why certain people have access to space. These questions can be addressed by the humanities and the arts. It's not that we have the answers, but we are good at formulating questions and opening them up to the society.
So how have artists and cultural practitioners always shaped the way that we envisage our future on Earth and beyond?
Well, that's very interesting, because since before there was space exploration or scientists working in space traveling, you had artists writing beautiful fiction or composing music about going to space. So the art and that creative activity of imagining future scenarios started with artists. Now that we are able to do it, I think artists are equally important. We have to push the limits. That might not be possible to do it with science today, but it will fuel scientific activities, as it happened with Jules Verne, as it happened, and right now there are artists that are doing it. For all these reasons, I really believe in the power of art in space activities.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Noam.
Thank you for
really
inviting
interesting
me.
to hear
Great.
about. Thank you. Well, that's all we have time for today, but don't forget that you can keep watching Around the Congress in your hotel rooms and on YouTube. Do join us again tomorrow when we'll have more exclusive material.